Already press next. Okay, good morning everyone and welcome and thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, we need to get some housekeeping out of the way. Please ensure your phones are on mute as we are recording the webinar. If your webcam is on, please also ensure to switch this off. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please email my colleague florence.hughes@bitc.org.uk. And we're going to have Florence's email address on the next slide up. And if you'd like to ask any questions, please submit these via the question tab, and we'll have a look at the Q&A for the final 15 minutes of the webinar. Okay? So that is Florence Hughes' email address up there. So again, if you do experience any technical difficulties, just make contact with Florence. And that's an image of myself and my colleague Noor. So my name is Blessing, and I am the Inclusion and Wellbeing Advisor at Business in the Community. This morning, I'll be talking you through an overview of the entry process for the Times Top 50 Employers for Women and Business in the Community's Gender Equality Award for 2020. So I'll be delivering this webinar today alongside my colleague Noor. I will now pass on to Noor so he can say hello.
Thank you, Blessing. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We will talk through the presentation, which will last approximately 45 minutes, and we aim to respond any questions at the end of the presentation. And Blessing will take you to the start.
Okay, thank you, Noor. So today we'll be talking you through who we are as an organization and more specifically what we do on gender equality. We're going to talk about the Times Top 50 Employers for Women and the Gender Equality Award. And we're going to talk through the benefits, how to apply, and where to help get help and guidance. And we'll finish up with what next. Okay. So a quick overview of our gender equality campaign at Business in the Community. So our workplace campaign at Business in the Community is divided into 4, and we have age, gender, race, and well-being. And what we do is a commitment to ensuring that your age, gender, race, or your well-being do not limit an employee's engagement and success in the workplace. So we work with our partners from more than 200 employers from across sectors, giving us access to and influence over the leaders of UK's best-known organizations. So we provide cutting-edge tools and research to support employers in making progress on these agendas. We know that organizations benefit when they create workplaces which tap into diverse range of skills and talent, and support the physical and mental well-being of all employees. Creating diverse and inclusive workplaces is a business imperative. So it's not just a nice thing to do. We want to make sure that we promote transparency, we transform workplace cultures, and also enable men and women to realize their potential at work and also at home. So if you're interested in joining the movement and taking advantage of the range of membership benefits, our business director, Dawn Cowper, will be happy to speak to you, and we've got Dawn's details on the screen. So what is the Times Top 50 Employers for Women? The Times Top 50 Employers for Women is compiled by and produced in partnership with BITC's Gender Equality Campaign. It is the UK's most high-profile and well-established listing of employers who are leading the way on workplace gender equality and making it part of their business strategy at all levels. So entrants have an opportunity through this one application process to enter the Business in the Community's Gender Equality Award. This award is the UK's most respected award for gender equality in the workplace, and it celebrates outstanding progress and examples of best practice, impact, and innovation. Both programs for business in the community recognize the headway employers are making to create inclusive workplace cultures that progress women in the workplace and enable them to reach their full potential. So if your organization is making progress to address gender equality, then enter today and benefit from the great public profile. It is a real opportunity to celebrate the positive impact that you're having on individuals, businesses, and society as a whole, and make your own employees proud. So, what about the Gender Equality Award then? The Gender Equality Award recognizes organizations with particularly high performing performance across the whole entry form, and up to five finalists will be selected and invited to a judging panel. The judging panel will be of external gender equality experts that will take place around April or May next year, so that's 2020. And from that, a single winner will be chosen. The assessment criteria for this award will be against additional elements, and that includes strategy, sustainability, impact, and transformational change and innovation. And one thing to note here is that we have discontinued the Gender Champion and Game Changer awards that we used to have previously, so something to be aware of. So, what are the benefits of applying? Benefits of the process itself, it's a really good gap analysis, a good internal engagement tool. Benefits of being a top 50 company is that you get association with, the brand, the highly regarded brand. You get endorsement from the Prince's Responsible Business Network, and pride with your employees as well. It will lift the company up as a responsible employer to future talent pipeline, and also support with reputation and recognition. It's also worth mentioning that there will be an extra profile opportunity. The winner of the Gender Equality Award will benefit from an increased profile. So, how do you enter? How to enter the process? So one of the key ways that we campaign and work with organizations is by recognizing and celebrating progress and achievement. Through the Times Top 50, our Gender Equality Award recognize those organizations who demonstrate overall high performance with regard to gender equality and spotlight particular case study examples of excellence and best practice that other organizations can learn from. We have a wealth of experience in this, with the awards now in its 24th year, having produced the Times Top 50 list since 2011. And so we've streamlined the process into a single entry form. So this means that you only have one submission to make for both the Gender Equality Awards and the Times Top 50 Employers for Women. And the list, so the Times Top 50 Employers for Women's list will be published on the 30th of April 2020. And BITC's Gender Equality Award winner will be announced at a Business in the Communities event next summer. In terms of the entry criteria, the criteria of who is eligible to enter is pretty straightforward. So any organization with a presence in the UK can participate. If your business model includes subsidiaries, you can choose either to submit as a group, or you can put forward one of your subsidiaries. However, it's not possible to do both, so it's got to be one or the other. And also to mention that submissions should focus predominantly on activities in the UK. So although we do appreciate that some programs and initiatives will have more of a global reach, and that's, that will be relevant to refer to this, so that's absolutely fine. But a word of warning, BITC reserves the right to disqualify submissions from employers found to be in breach of UK equality legislation. So, for example, organizations that are facing unequal pay claims. Okay. So I'm going to hand over to Noor now, and Noor will talk you through the funding and the profile opportunities that we've got.
Thank you, Blessing. So entry is via our online entry platform, which is available now. And in order to access the platform, you would need an entry link, which you can obtain by emailing timestop50@bicc.org.uk. And please note that no password or login is required. There are several benefits for entrants in using the platform. And these are that the platform will display your word count, so you can keep track of it as you complete your entry, and it's going to alert you if you go over the word count. You can share the link with other colleagues so that they can contribute to the entry. So please note that it is possible for multiple colleagues to be logged in at the same time. However, you may wish to be clear about which sections or questions contributors are working on. Also, click Save and Next to save your entry automatically and return to it later using the same link. Once submitted, you will receive an email with a copy of your response, and a downloadable PDF can be saved and printed. And I think Blessing will take you through the entry process and submission structure.
Okay, thank you, Noor. So moving on to the entry process itself. Entry is by self-nomination via a single entry form online. You will also find a blank entry form template on our website, so that's available there for you, and as well as the guidance notes, which you can use before completing your entry online. So you can download the entry form, use it before you go online to make a submission. Section 1 to 3 of the entry form are compulsory, and they need to be completed in order for the entry to be accepted. The introduction is also compulsory. So for the introduction, we do need the name of your organization and a contact for your organization, so contact information. Moving on to section 1 then. So section 1 is a description of your organization and your gender matrix. So at the start of your entry form, we ask for a description of your organization. And the reason is so that assessors can understand the context from which your organization is operating. So we've also added a question about which sector your organization operates in. I should also mention that entries need to be anonymous. So there are some additional guidance regarding this, which I'll touch again on later on. For the gender matrix, we also require top-line gender matrix, so a breakdown of your gender profile across your organization at different levels, such as managers, your executive committee, and board level members. The gender matrix section is mandatory, and again, it provides important context for the assessors. The gender profile data will remain strictly confidential to business in the community. It will not be scored directly, although it will be referred to during assessment. For reporting period, your reporting period should be your last financial year. So it's either that or the 12 months prior to September of the current year. So the 12 months before September of this year, 2019. There are two sections that are scored on the entry form, so section 2 and section 3. Just to talk through a bit on section 2, the question set. So this section asks for information on what your organization is doing. So what they're doing to make it a top employer for women. So why is it important to your business to have a focus on gender equality in relation to its employees and stakeholders? That can include external stakeholders if that's relevant to you as well. So we want to explore the kind of activities that you're engaged in to create a culture which facilitates equality for women and how successful these activities are. and this section accounts for 75% of final score. One new feature to be aware of here is that assessments will be on a question by question basis. So that's actually new for this year. So what that means is that assessors will be given specific questions to assess. And so if you tend to refer assessors to different parts of your submission, please try not to do that this year because the assessors just would not have access to other parts of your submission. There is a word limit for each question, and the word limit is between 220 to 280. So it's from 220 to 280, and 280 are for questions with an impact element to it. Okay, so for section 3 then, section 3 is a mandatory case study. And it's a case study that should focus on a specific initiative or activity which demonstrates the work that your organization is engaged in to change your workplace culture to benefit women. So if you find it helpful to see previous examples, you can find those examples on our website under the impact stories. I'd like to highlight that the case studies will review will be reviewed and scored in isolation. So please again ensure that relevant information is covered within the case study response, because information in the rest of your entry will not be taken into account. So same thing with section 2, just something to bear in mind. And this section covers 25% of the final score. Something else to note, please, for this is that the submission platform will allow you to submit an incomplete entry. And we've done this because we have enabled the function that allows people to be able to move back and forth on the entry submission. However, BITC will not consider any entry that is incomplete. So make sure your entry is complete before you submit. Okay. After submission, you will receive a confirmation email with a link, which you can use to download a PDF version of your submission. So this is something new, which we hope will be of help to entrants. So at this point, I will pass on to my colleague Noor, who will cover off topics on confidentiality, guidance and support, and a few FAQs.
Thank you, Blessing. Taking a closer look at confidentiality, section 1, which includes your data and metrics, is completely confidential and will be used for assessment purposes only. And section 2, which is the question set and assessment content, will not be reproduced in the public domain, although we may on occasion share best practice from this section with the Times newspaper to provide them with background information in the development of the supplement content. You're going to be contacted in advance should the Times wish to develop a case study of your organization for publication. And so, for example, if BITC identifies a best practice example on shared parental leave, we will advise the Times, who may then wish to follow up with that particular organization. Sections 3 and 4, which touches on case studies and nominations, the content submitted in this section should be approved by you internally as ready for publication, as this content may be published in part or in its entirety in the public domain. So, for example, should the case study or nomination be selected as part of the Gender Equality Award, it will be featured on our website. And business in the community reserves the right to edit the case study for the purposes of word count and consistency without prior approval. And what does it cost? It's free to enter the Times Top 50 Employers for Women, and everyone likes free things. However, following assessment and once the highest scoring entries have been identified next February, there is a promotion fee of $1,250 plus VAT in order for eligible organizations to be included in the list. This promotion fee is how BICC funds the supplement. We do not pass on any of the resources or resource cost involved in processing and assessing entries. However, a supplement with national circulation carries a significant value and cost. The promotion fee means this cost is distributed fairly across the 50 organizations who benefit from the associated profile of appearing in the list, and the value can be enjoyed by all who make the list. If an organization enters and is not successful, the promotion fee does not apply. And in additional opportunities, so let's talk about additional profile opportunities. Should you wish to maximize profile, additional opportunities are available. Full details are available on the top 50 logo and advertising pricing document, which include digital advertising, so tablet edition, and on the Times and Sunday Times appointments website, and an enhanced logo licensing packages, including external use and longer licenses, advertising opportunities in the print supplements, and you can find this on our website and also on the entry platform via your unique link. In terms of profile benefits, if you are successful, these include prominent listings as a Times Top 50 Employer for Women in the print and tablet supplement published in April 2020, prominent listing as a Times Top 50 Employer for Women on the Times and Sunday Times websites, 50 words in the supplement for you to describe what you're most proud of in relation to gender equality in your organization, eligibility to display the Times Top 50 Employers for Women logo for the following year, and the mandatory promotion fee includes the internal logo licensing package, internal intranet use, internal company reports, and presentations. As Blessing mentioned earlier, there is an added opportunity to be considered for the Business in the Community Gender Equality Award to gain additional profile for the coming year. And this award will be announced at Business in the Community's events next summer. So in terms of guidance and support, we'd like to help you to submit the best entry that you can, and therefore we have provided you with detailed guidance. There's a detailed information and guidance document which is available to download from the website, and all of the information in this document will also be replicated on the online entry platform. You should have all of the guidance at your fingertips as you're working on your entry. As a starting point, please do have a look at this information. In addition to what we're covering today in terms of the structure and format of the entry process, it also contains some general overall guidance points which will be relevant to bear in mind as you are completing all of the sections. In addition, it includes a detailed question breakdown for section 2 to help you focus on each individual answer. Our diversity advisors are also on hand to answer any questions you may have. And if you're currently working with a diversity advisor as a partner, then feel free to get in touch with them directly. Alternatively, please email timestop50@bitc.org.uk, and we will put you in touch with a member of the team as best fits your inquiry. If you'd find past examples of use, winning, and shortlisted case studies from last year's awards are available on the website. You can find out more by downloading the entry document and guidance from the website. Results. The Times Top 50 Employers for Women list will be published in a special editorial supplement in the Times published on 30th of April 2020. The list will not be ranked index, and the 50 organizations will appear in alphabetical order. The list will also be featured on the Times and Sunday Times Appointments website. Case studies of finalists and winners will be featured on the Business in the Community website and profiled by Business in the Community for the following year. The winner will have increased profile opportunities and will be announced with other responsible business awards at an event in the summer. So don't forget just a few other significant points to highlight. And don't worry, this information is also included on the entry platform and within the detailed information guidance. So please don't forget the women. We appreciate that your activities may have a broader diversity reach, which is relevant for you to tell us about, and that some of your programs and initiatives may not just focus on women. But for the purpose of this entry, we need to understand your activities as they relate to an impact on women specifically. Applying the gender lens to your initiatives and programs is paramount. It should focus on UK, so the activities must be UK based. The list recognizes employers in the UK, and as such, please ensure that the information that you provide is particularly relevant to activity and achievements within this region. As with the previous point, we appreciate that some programs and initiatives will have a broader, more global reach, and it will be appropriate to cover this in the entry. However, wherever possible, please provide UK data when providing evidence of impact in the UK. If the information is not UK based, or it is not made clear that the data is from the UK, it may affect your score for the question. When it comes to the case study in section 3, we'll ask you to give further information about which regions the work covers, if that is relevant. In terms of consulting with colleagues, there may be other colleagues who could contribute useful information which would strengthen your entry. You may find it helpful to consult with other departments such as HR, talent management, women's or other relevant employee networks, training or peer and communication departments. Anonymity is key, and so you should also ensure that your entry is anonymous. Most obviously, don't use your organization's name, but also avoid references that would easily identify it. So, for example, don't use the names of individuals, particularly if they're very senior and or high profile. Similarly, if you have established programs that would be recognized by those in the diversity sphere, avoid using the program's name. Think about what would be useful for the assessors to understand about the context of the point you're making. So in terms of your organization's description, for example, you may want to convey what the scale of your organization is, if there are particular challenges associated with your sector, etc. Think about the information that would be useful for an assessor to understand about the landscape from which your organization specifically operates. For an instance, does it operate in a male-dominated sector, and try to highlight contextual information that will help an assessor to appreciate your particular approach on these issues. Keep it simple, plain English. Don't use acronyms or terminology that someone outside of your organization would not be familiar with, so avoid jargon. Check formatting. Before you submit your entry, check that your content will be easy for an assessor to read. I think this may be particularly pertinent if you're pasting large pieces of text into the platform from other documents. Check that paragraph spacing hasn't been lost, particularly where you have longer answers, such as in the case of the questions. If all the information is bunched into one long paragraph of dense text, it's harder for the assessor to pick through it. So keep it succinct if possible and to the point. You might find that choosing bullet points helps you with word count and to convey the information clearly and concisely. N- You will be assessed entirely on the text response of your entry form, so there's no supporting materials. Supporting materials are not required at this stage. Please don't send us additional materials or use hyperlinks to further information in your answers. And finally, it's worth noting that we're not expecting a perfect score. The questions are thorough as we want to ensure that the process is robust and credible and the process is competitive. But if you find some of the questions challenging, remember that no one will be doing everything perfectly and everyone will have strengths and weaknesses. We aren't expecting everyone to have impact against all of the questions where there's an option for you to provide that. You may have an average score for one question or section, but may do brilliantly in another. So don't let difficult questions put you off. So here are the key dates for you to be aware of. The next one is the closing date of 22nd of November. And please guys, don't be bored. We're nearly there. I'm in. What do I do? Right, so just to recap on how to enter. Request your username and password from the Times Top 50 at bitc.org.uk. Download the information and guidance notes from the gender campaign section on the BITC website, as well as the blank entry form. Remember that you must submit your application online. The Word document is just for your internal use. And frequently asked questions. We're not going to go through each question individually here, but don't hesitate to get in touch if there are any questions that you're still not sure of when you come to complete your entry. And at this point, I'm going to be passing on to Blessing. So Blessing, would you like to wrap up and then we can take any questions?
Yes, that sounds good. Thank you, Noor. All right, so just one final thing to stress. There will be no username and password this year like they have been previous years. So what you'll receive is an entry link. So the entry link is what you need to go on and complete your submission. So just to make sure that everyone has got that information. So I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone for listening into today's webinar. We hope you found it useful. If you have any further questions, please just speak to your diversity advisor. You should have a dedicated BITC diversity advisor if you are part of one of our workplace partners. And you can also contact Times Top 50 at bitc.org.uk, and we'll point you in the right direction. And there'll always be somebody picking up emails from there. So on that note, we're happy to take questions. Do we have any questions? Okay, so just looking through the questions. So one question is on the reporting period. Can we use from 1st of October 2018 to 30th of September 2019? Okay, so the cutoff point that your reporting period should be is before September of 2019. So that should be the last day of August, so not coming into September of 2019. The next question from Michaela Chapman. Thank you for that question, and for the earlier question, Sally, as well. So question from Michaela is, can I safely assume that this deck will be shared? Yes, we'll be sharing the slide deck after the webinar. Thank you. Next question is from Victoria Smith. Will you be sharing this presentation after the webinar, please? Okay, the same question. Yes, again, we will be sharing that. What is meant by the high resolution logo bullet point? So when you go online to make your submission, we are requesting that organizations upload a high resolution image of their logo. If you're not quite sure what high resolution means, just speak to your comms marketing team and they'll be able to help you with that. Thanks, Casey, for that question. Next question from Sally. Should evidence and stats relate to just the reporting period in section 1? I'm not quite sure I understand that question. So the reporting period, regardless of what section you're completing, should be one and the same reporting period. So the 12 months prior to September of 2019. Hopefully that answers your question, Sally. But if not, just drop us an email to timestop50@bitc.org.uk. Next question from Jennifer. Can you clarify something about anonymity? What if we have a partnership with an organization that would be outing? I'm not quite sure what that question is. So Jennifer, I'm not reading your question correctly. I'm not quite clear what the question is, but it is. It sounds like you have a question around anonymity. But what we have said, just to recap, is that section 1, sorry, the introduction bit, we do need the name of your organization and a contact name and contact person details. But when you then go on to make your submission, do anonymize that submission. Hopefully that answers your question, Jennifer, but if not, again, please send an email to timestop50. We've got another question from, I'll try to take this as they come in. So we've got one from Anita. Do we record statistics and progression over the 3 years, i.e. from August 2016 to... So Anita, yes, absolutely. Do record your statistics around progression over the 3 years. That would be great. I think assessors would like to see what progress you've made over time. So it's not just reporting for the last period, but also over time, what impact has your initiative had over a period of time. Jennifer has just come back to say that she means identifying. Outing means identifying. Sorry, I'm still not getting it, Jennifer. I'm so sorry. Please just drop an email to timestop50@bitc.org.uk and hopefully we'll be able to get a response back to you. Next one is from Louise. So sharing best practice with the Times editorial team. Does the team contact the company before they use the best practice? Yes, we do. So the Times the Times editorial team will be in touch before your submission will be used as best practice example. Okay. I think that's all the questions we've got. We'll give it a few, maybe a minute or two more, see if we get any more questions. In the meantime, could we do a poll? Would like to do a quick poll just to gauge and see how many people found this webinar useful. So here we've got the poll up on the screen. Would like you to rate this webinar, please. So based on the information that you've received, in order to apply to the Times Top 50 Employers for Women, please select one. Let's see what happens. The polls are coming in. That's great. It's still coming in. Oh, that's fantastic. We've got 23% excellent, 51% good, 23% neutral. So if there's any way that you feel we could improve the webinar for future sessions, please just drop us an email and let us know. Okay, so just coming back to the questions then. Do we have any more additional questions? Okay. So I'd like to say a big thank you once more for joining this webinar today. And on that note, we would like to draw to a close. And we do look forward to reading your submissions. And don't forget, the deadline is at 5 p.m. on the 22nd of November this year. Okay, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.